The Grudge is a chilling exploration of the supernatural, rooted in the Japanese concept of the onryo, a vengeful spirit believed to be capable of causing harm in the world of the living. This film is a quintessential example of how cultural myths and folklore can be adapted into modern horror, creating a narrative that resonates with audiences globally. In this case, the spirit, known as Kayako, embodies the dark lore that pervades the movie. Her curse, born from a horrific act of violence, transcends death, ensnaring anyone who encounters her presence. The significance of this lore lies in its ability to tap into universal fears of the unknown and the unexplained. The Grudge, by drawing on deeply ingrained cultural narratives, not only entertains but also introduces audiences to the rich tapestry of Japanese folklore. This approach adds layers of complexity to the horror genre, contrasting with more straightforward Western ghost stories. As such, it challenges viewers to consider the cultural origins of fear and how these translate across different mediums and societies. One real-world application of this concept is the way filmmakers use cultural lore to craft immersive horror experiences, as seen in the adaptation of traditional stories into films like The Ring, which similarly draws on Japanese mythos. Another example is the influence of The Grudge on Western horror films, demonstrating a shift towards more psychological, atmospheric horror that delves into cultural narratives rather than relying solely on jump scares or gore. Opinions on The Grudge often highlight its effectiveness in creating an atmosphere of dread, with critics praising its ability to evoke fear through silence and suggestion rather than explicit violence. However, the film has faced challenges, particularly in its Western adaptations, where some argue that the cultural nuances are diluted or lost in translation. This raises questions about the broader implications of adapting culturally specific stories for global audiences and whether such adaptations can maintain their original impact. Alternative viewpoints suggest that while The Grudge popularizes Japanese horror, it also risks perpetuating stereotypes, as Western audiences may misinterpret or oversimplify the cultural elements at play. This highlights the ongoing debate about cultural appropriation versus appreciation in the film industry. Ultimately, the dark lore of The Grudge serves as a powerful narrative force that influences not only the direction of the film, but also its reception among diverse audiences. By intertwining horror with cultural tradition, it underscores the universal nature of fear while simultaneously enriching the genre with unique cultural depth. The origins of the evil spirit in The Grudge are steeped in a haunting backstory that defines the movie's chilling atmosphere. At the core of this narrative is the concept of a curse, a malevolent force that arises from intense rage and sorrow. In The Grudge, this curse is born from the tragic death of a woman named Kayako Sayeki, who was brutally murdered by her husband in a fit of jealousy. Her strong negative emotions, anger, pain, and despair, become embedded in the house where she died, manifesting as a deadly curse that affects anyone who enters the dwelling. This concept of a lingering curse, fueled by unresolved emotions, is not only central to the film's horror, but also underscores the pervasive nature of evil as it spreads indiscriminately to victims. The significance of this backstory is profound. It serves as the foundation for the film's unsettling theme that some actions, particularly those rooted in deep emotional conflict, can have far-reaching and inescapable consequences. This narrative reflects a broader cultural belief in the supernatural, particularly in Japanese folklore, where spirits, or yurei, are thought to linger in the mortal world due to unresolved grievances. Two real-world analogies can help illustrate this point. First, consider the way urban legends often arise from traumatic events, gaining power and spreading through communities as cautionary tales. These narratives, like the story of The Grudge, are reminders of the unresolved emotions and societal taboos they echo. Another example is the psychological impact of traumatic history on places, often referred to as hauntings, in both cultural and literal senses. While many appreciate these stories for their cultural and entertainment value, skeptics may argue that they exploit irrational fears and contribute to misconceptions about mental health by equating strong emotions with supernatural phenomena. Others might critique the film for its reliance on horror tropes that could potentially desensitize audiences to real-world violence. The concept of the curse in The Grudge also connects deeply to themes of inevitability and interconnectedness, influencing the broader storytelling within the horror genre. It suggests that despite attempts to escape or break free, The past grip is tenacious, reflecting a universal fear of the inescapable nature of personal and historical traumas. This powerful narrative device not only propels the plot of the film, but also enriches its dark lore, enhancing the sinister allure that captivates audiences. The curse mechanism in The Grudge is a pivotal element that fuels the chilling narrative of the movie, deeply embedding itself in the lore of the haunted universe within the film. This mechanism is essentially a supernatural virus that transfers from one person to another, ensuring the relentless spread of the curse beyond its original confines. When someone enters the space where the curse originated, typically the scene of a horrific death, they become infected. This infection is not just a spiritual malaise, but a death sentence. Those afflicted are doomed to die under terrifying circumstances, perpetuating the cycle of horror. The significance of this curse mechanism is profound, as it serves as the movie's central engine of fear and terror. It transforms the haunted house from a static location into an active source of malevolence that reaches far beyond its walls. By doing so, it reflects the inescapable nature of the curse, heightening the sense of dread, and as viewers realize that the evil cannot be contained or easily escaped. Real-world parallels can be drawn from urban legends or cultural beliefs. In curses that travel, such as the belief in cursed objects, or places that bring misfortune to anyone who comes into contact with them. This idea resonates with the universal fear of consequences that are unavoidable once set into motion. Additionally, the notion of a spreading curse has been employed in other horror narratives, such as the Ring series, where a videotape marks viewers for death if they fail to pass it on. These examples underscore how the concept of an inescapable curse taps into deep-seated fears of fate and contagion. Critics and fans of horror often appreciate this mechanism for its ability to maintain suspense. It ensures that the horror is not confined to a single victim or location, extending the narrative's reach and perpetuating tension. Yet, some viewers and scholars may challenge the inevitability aspect, arguing that it reduces characters to mere victims with no agency or hope for redemption. This deterministic approach can be seen as a commentary on the futility of human actions against supernatural forces. The curse mechanism in The Grudge intertwines with other aspects of the film by influencing character decisions, shaping narrative arcs, and connecting plot lines across different timelines and stories within the franchise. It creates a shared universe of fear, binding disparate elements into a cohesive and compelling dark lore that captivates audiences. With its relentless, haunting presence. In the eerie universe of The Grudge, key characters and their dark fates form the linchpin of the narrative, imbuing the story with a chilling depth that speaks to the supernatural horror genre. Each character's encounter with Kayako unleashes a relentless pursuit, marked by haunting apparitions and inevitable demise, underscoring the inescapable reach of the curse. The importance of key characters and their dark fates lies in their role as conduits of fear and tension. They serve to highlight the malignant influence of the curse, transforming ordinary lives into nightmarish experiences, and thus compelling audiences to confront the unsettling notion of a persistent, unseen evil. The characters' fates are not merely plot devices, they are reflective of the broader exploration of themes like revenge, helplessness, and the fragility of human life. Two notable examples underscore this concept. First, the tragic downfall of Karen Davis, the film's protagonist, illustrates the inescapable nature of the curse. Despite her initial attempts to understand and resolve the haunting, Karen's efforts only lead her deeper into the spectral web, ultimately culminating in her demise. Another compelling case is that of Rika Nishina, whose compassionate nature and determination to save others ironically make her more susceptible to the curse's relentless grip, drawing her into Kayako's world of eternal despair. Opinions supporting the significance of these characters argue that their fates elicit empathy and dread, essential elements for an effective horror narrative. Critics laud the film's ability to weave individual stories into a broader tapestry of terror, wherein each character's fate serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of entanglement with malevolent forces. However, this concept is not without its controversies. Some critics argue that the repetitive nature of the characters' demises could lead to a sense of inevitability that diminishes suspense, suggesting a need for more varied narratives within the curse's framework. Alternatively, Alternatively, others propose that this fatalism is precisely what intensifies the film's atmospheric horror, as viewers grapple with the hopelessness that defines each character's journey. Ultimately, the dark fates of key characters are intricately linked to the central narrative of The Grudge. They enrich the lore of the film by demonstrating the pervasive influence of Kayako's curse, intertwining individual tragedies with the broader narrative of spectral vengeance, thereby reinforcing the film's unsettling portrayal of an unrelenting evil.